Hey guys!
Hello.
It's working? We're working? Perfect. All right. There was a little bit of a question as to whether or not the audio would work, which is our MO. But seeing how this week is a weird week, that would have just been par for the course. So, thank you guys for bearing with us. I know that it's been quiet over the airwaves this week, but I don't know, how much snow did we end up getting?
We just got about 6 or 8 inches.
6 or 8 inches.
Yeah.
It's a very dry snow. I tried to make some snowballs yesterday, and it sure did not snowball for me.
You had to take the snow inside to make snowballs.
Yeah, there's like the least amount of humidity that we've ever experienced here in Missouri, and it made for very dry snow. But Luna's been having a great time.
But on a nicer note, the roads weren't icy.
That is correct.
They
yeah.
were just snowpacked.
Yep, just snow, and then it got all scraped and everything dried up and everything was fine.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what we've been dealing with here at the store, which meant it started snowing on Tuesday, so we closed early Tuesday. Denny and I went to the prison and taught a class.
We were incarcerated.
We were incarcerated on Tuesday.
Going in and coming out.
He almost didn't get in. His shoes got him. He had to take off his snow boots because they had zippers on them. And his suspenders.
I had to take off everything.
Denny was getting worried he was going to get down to his skivvies. He's like, it's too cold outside for that, guys. And then we got stuck in the doors that let you out.
Yeah, the airlock, or
yeah,
whatever you
you
call it.
have to go into a door. The door has to close behind you, and then this one opens so you can get out. But this one didn't want to open, and we had to wait for them to get the stick. It's one of the oldest buildings in our area. Is the prison. It's been around for a really long time.
It was like the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's a whole track that you walk underneath. So you go, there's several buildings. There's like 3 different buildings of the facility, and they have a track that runs underground that connects all 3 of them. So you go through that little track, and that's where we were for the craft shop. Yeah. Anyways, it was cool. We taught him Denny's coaster.
Yeah, bunch of happy convicts. You guys were all happy.
So, in any case, but we got a few more people at the store today, so we can do some videos. It has been rather light. I have been gathering all week because Chris and myself and our little Honda Fit, we're only like 1 block off of a main road, and so it's really not so bad for us to get out in the snow. Some people, especially I feel like apartment complexes are really bad getting the snow moved, or they're just gonna like block you in their parking lot. So that's kind of a bummer. But Isaac has no excuses because he has a truck. So. All right, guys. But today we are going to do the video that we had planned on Wednesday, which is showing you guys how to sharpen and polish your punches, because a lot of times they will not come to you unless you are buying a custom homemade brand. That's what I'm gonna say. If you're buying something from a dude that's making it, then you might get a really, really nice finished polished up tool. But if you're buying something from Osborne or any sort of probably manufactured punch, it is probably not gonna get to you in its best condition. Like, it's most ideal to be used. It's a good condition, like the tool's fine, but it needs a little bit of help before it's ready to go.
Yeah, plus the fact that after you use a tool and punch through whatever you're punching,
and you do something real dumb,
or drop it on the concrete floor, or
you'll need to know how to fix it. Yeah, so we're gonna go over that today. We've got our grinders in here. These are Denny's trusty grinders, so we'll be showing you how to do and use these.
Yeah, how to grind it.
How to do this. All right, now you go.
But first off, we'll show you how to do it if you don't have any power equipment like this.
Okay.
I've got a sharpening stone. I've got a file. I've got a big flat file. Then I've got a small file. And I've got a set of jeweler's files.
Well, aren't you fancy?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Well, like if you're sharpening an end punch like this, after you sharpen the outside, then the inside gets a little burr on it.
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So if you've got a little round jeweler's file, you can go in there and scrub that burr off.
Waller her out?
Waller it out, yeah.
And they also, I know a lot of companies are now like selling like this little cone that will do all the different graduated sizes. So the jeweler's file or that little cone, I think, is meant to like polish things out.
Yeah, it's a hollow cone.
Okay.
The hollow part of it, you grind the outside, and the outside of the cone, you grind the inside.
Isn't that schmancy?
It's neat. We need to look into those,
All right.
I think.
I'll tell Kendall.
Okay.
We'll put it on the list.
Okay. Well, anyway, and another thing that I need to stress to people is these things don't have to be polished, mirror finished, sharp like a knife.
Okay.
Because you're going to drive them through with a maul
That's
or a
correct.
mallet,
Mm-hmm.
which I forgot to bring, but we have mallets here.
We sure do.
But, and another thing, if you get a big punch, like this 2-inch bag punch, oblong punch, whatever you want to call it, those things are notoriously hard to punch through a piece of leather.
Correct.
Just because you've got so much bearing surface on the leather.
That's why you got a dead blow over there.
Yeah, yeah, yes. Oh, I forgot I had that. But when you're driving it through, you've got to really punch the heck out of it. You've got to drive
Yeah.
it hard, and you need a solid surface underneath it, and a good block of poly or something on top of that block. But this,
Yeah, you're not ever gonna drive that punch through anything if you do not have a solid surface underneath it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stress that enough.
this is a brand new punch right out of the box.
Okay.
Can we
You're
look
looking
at
at it
this
right now.
camera? Okay. I don't know if you can see. Look, you can see the edge all the way around.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not very sharp, right? So if it was me, I would probably take this file if I was at home and didn't have a buffing wheel, and I would start filing like this. I would file all the way around, and then you can even
Oh, you want to do it?
file
Oh,
like this.
Yeah.
Or if you're using a stone, you can go like this and then get your edge like this. But I want to show you the easy way to do it,
All right.
and that will be on this this buffing wheel. This is a paper wheel, and you can get those online. I'm not sure who sells them. I know Grizzly here in town sells them, but other people do. And this side's got a pretty heavy grit on it. It will actually draw fire almost like a grinding wheel. Not quite as
Draw fire.
Yeah, that means it'll spit sparks.
Draw fire and spitting sparks.
Yeah. But anyway, and this side, I've got some green compound on it, which is fairly aggressive, but not as aggressive as the white or the red would be, which will be our final stage over on that other one. But anyway, let me start this machine here. First off, let
Yes,
me try
sir.
and punch a hole.
All right, let's see what it does right now. Omar, you're very welcome for your giveaway. You see how that table jumps? How you doing?
You see how hard I hit that? I'm still not through it.
There it is.
Now I am. Okay. Now let's put it on these wheels and see what happens. Are we here?
Yep, you're here.
Okay.
We're spitting sparks.
We're drawing fire, folks. Put a little more compound on the Okay, now let's go to this finishing wheel here. This is just white jeweler's rouge.
Some white jeweler's rouge.
Let's try this.
And that's just a fabric wheel, a canvas wheel over here?
Yeah, this is just a fiber wheel here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Cotton or something. Okay, let's see if this will cut.
Oh, we should have counted. We're almost.
It cuts better, but like I say,
It still takes.
a big punch is always going to be harder to work than a smaller punch.
I mean, especially if you're going through 2-ply of leather, if you've got a glue layer in there.
Yeah. This is a 1-inch punch here. Let's see how long it takes to punch it through.
2 times.
See, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one I haven't even touched yet, and it's pretty dull. So, you want to sharpen it?
Sure.
Let's sharpen it. Another thing that I want to tell you, let's see. Okay.
This way.
You see these grind marks? Those are going horizontal, right?
Yep.
That's going to make your punch not want to cut as well. If you get the grind marks, even from this going the other direction, straight vertical, it'll make your punch, number one, it'll cut a little easier. Number two, it'll come out of the leather a little easier.
Yeah.
So if you notice when I'm grinding, I'm not grinding like this. I'm grinding like this, around like this.
Yep.
That way the wheel's turning down and making vertical marks in the punch.
Yeah, because otherwise you just have tiny little razor lines that are acting like Velcro
Yeah.
as you go in and then attempt to come back out.
Yeah,
With the lines going the other way.
yeah. Look how nice that polished.
Yeah, I was going to say, we can look at both of these edges again. You see how much finer that edge is than where it started. This is the large punch. And I also just want to point out this to you guys. Like, geometry makes a difference, and especially when it goes to driving this through leather. This steel is about an eighth of an inch thick. Like you can see kind of on the back side. Well, it's hard to see. But you've got about an 1/8 inch of blade width. And then it's ground. Thanks. And then, you know, it's ground to a point on the inside. So you have one bevel, and then this goes straight through to your punch. So not only do you have to push this one thing through, but then it immediately starts getting wider, which means that it's having to move your material. So the thicker your leather is that you're punching through, the more oomph it's going to take to drive this punch through all that leather, because you're also pushing the outside out as you're cutting the inside. And so it just, like, it's gonna take a heavyweight mallet. You need sometimes just one piece of granite. I know I was making some knife sheaths one time that had slots like this on it, and I went down to my husband's 75-pound anvil or 150 or whatever the thing is.
Yeah, the more solid the base is.
And that, like, I was able to drive through in like 2 or 3 whacks versus 5 to 6 whacks per slot. And then a nice thick piece of poly instead of a thin piece of poly will also help.
Yeah, and a really nice punch will be tapered on the inside.
Okay.
It will be thicker down at the bottom, the part that you're cutting, than it will the Oh, the exhaust part, you know?
Sure.
It gets,
It-
it gets
it
bigger.
lets it out. Yeah.
That releases pressure on the piece of leather that you collect.
Yeah, this piece is more likely to come out easier and allow the punch to go in quicker.
And I've heard people say they dip theirs, you know, if you put it in beeswax or paraffin or something, you know, it'll make it clear a little easier.
Interesting. All
I've
right.
never tried that. But
Yeah.
let's see how this cuts.
That's you know, Denny's happy with something.
Yeah, that's my happy face. And now we've got a round punch here too, which is the same thing. I mean, I don't know if you can see that where you are, but it's just flat here. There's no edge on that at all. It's just like a piece of pipe.
He's been rounded a little bit.
Yeah.
Like a piece of pipe.
Another thing you want to be aware of, you don't want to taper from the very edge back too far. You want kind of a bevel on it. If you taper it back too far, that edge gets real thin, and it's really easy to chip and bend and
curl.
And that's where a lot of your problems come in anyway, is they'll chip. But this one is doing pretty good so far. Am I keeping you busy?
All the dogs have been loving the snow. Have yours been loving the snow?
Oh,
Yeah. Luna, Dan has been bringing Frosty in, and Luna and Frosty have just been going gangbusters in the gathering room because I've been back there filling orders all week, and they just run around like two Australian shepherds. Exactly the same.
Two crazy Australian shepherds.
But
Okay.
man, we go outside and they just plow through those snowbanks. They're loving it.
Now I'm going to use this file. This is a half round file here because this punch is big enough for it. So, but I'm not going to do very much with it.
Gonna knock off a little bit of a burr.
Yeah. Now I'm going to take it back to this polishing wheel one more time.
Hold on.
That's all right.
Oh.
I'm back up. Now the other one.
The 2 hours I worked today.
Gonna get all your steps in.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Look
good.
at that.
That's pretty good.
Oh, also, after you're done doing all of the grinding and cleaning, make sure that the next punch that you do is not on your project, because it's gonna have a bunch of stuff on it. So
Gook.
yeah, it's gonna have gook and gunk. So either wipe it off real good or punch a few holes in a sacrificial piece of leather so that you can get all the gunk off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a black hole in there.
Yeah. It's a black hole. This is space age stuff we're doing here. All right, what else we got here?
Let's do
All
some
right.
in punches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a pointed in punch that's got all sorts of little nicks and stuff in it.
He needs some love.
Yes. So let's go to this. Another thing to keep in mind is you don't want to sharpen one part of it or put one part of it on a wheel more than the other part, or otherwise you're gonna end up with an uneven edge.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll make it just as bad as being dull. That's another thing on these wheels, like especially this green one and the white wheel, you want to keep adding compound to it, because a lot of people feel like you put it on once and it doesn't need it anymore. But
Keep adding compound.
Yeah, you want it. Keep it jumped up pretty good. What happens, see that's white material on that wheel and it's green material on this, but if you'll notice when I'm using them, they both turn gray because they're getting all this metal stuff on them.
Do you want to, you got that other punch here. Do you want to show them how to do it on a stone?
Yeah. Which
The
one?
long way?
Which one do you want me to show them?
Whichever one that you will hate the least.
Alright. Alright.
Thank you.
I'm going to put a little water on this stone.
There you go, Banandy.
You can use, some of them use oil on a stone, but I like water. It's not as messy. But I'm just going to start here and drag it.
It's an interesting.
I don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. It's got like a lower octave than the nails on a chalkboard situation.
Yeah, if I was doing this at my bench, I'd have this in a vise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need your stone traveling everywhere when you're attempting to use it.
Right. If you notice, I'm dragging the tool as I go. I'm not just going like this. If you just go like that, you're going to wear a groove in your stone for one thing. But this is also getting rid of those horizontal grind marks. That looks pretty good. Let's try it.
Let's try it where they can watch you try it.
You think?
Yeah, I do. Thanks. There she goes.
You cut.
It works.
It works. Yeah.
Hayden, we did the head knife polishing. I guess, do you have a head knife that needs to be ground?
No. I don't. Actually, as far as grinding a head knife, you want to be very careful when you grind on a head knife, because you'll get the metal so hot that it'll lose its temper.
Yeah, because it's so thin.
And then you will lose your temper. How's that sound?
So Hayden, like 2 weeks ago, I think you were here. We did stropping, and we did the head knife there. I think I guess if somebody got a big chip in their head knife, if they did something real dumb.
Yeah. And I was also talking, I think, about a head knife that comes with a really thick blade, trying to thin the blade down itself. And you'll need a wet belt sander.
Yeah.
Something that won't get your knife hot because you.
Or a knife maker to fix it.
Right, right.
Typically head knives come pretty darn done. There's not like the Ivan ones that we sell. You can strop them and be good to go. I think even the Osborne head knives, I feel like with a pretty good strop session, maybe even starting with like the higher grit, like the red, and working your way down to the white, or however it goes.
Yeah.
To if you do need to go that far, if the polish is that far out, then you can do that. But I don't think, especially just starting from scratch, that you would need to start with this kind of a situation for a head knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of get what you pay for. If you buy a $10 head knife, you're going to have a $10 head knife.
Right.
You know.
But if you get one from one of the guys that we're always talking about, like those are going to come ready to go. And then if you do end up putting a big chip in it or something, you probably send it back to the maker and be like, hey, can you fix this for me? And they have the equipment to do that.
Yeah, they'll regrind it and everything and send it back to you where you can hurt yourself with it.
What angle for a head knife? Almost flat.
Yeah, is just as little bevel as you can get. Little taper it from the handle all the way to the edge. That's what you want.
Do you ever clean up the compound on the wheels?
Sure, I did this one. I just used a piece of sandpaper because over a period of time, especially when a whole bunch of people like we have in the store are using it to sharpen scissors on, they'll round this off. You know, so I used a piece of sandpaper and flattened this out. Plus, the guy caught his head knife on this and kind of chipped out part of the end.
Ooh.
So, but I sanded that off.
What grit sandpaper did you use?
Just 80 or
something low
or less. Yeah.
Okay.
Really rough sandpaper.
Did you do anything to it afterwards, or just fill it back up with compound?
Put more compound on it.
Okay.
And the same with the cloth wheel. You know, you really shouldn't have to do anything with the cloth wheel. When you use it where it needs to be redone, throw it away and put a new cloth wheel on it.
Yeah, I think these things are like $8 or $10 or something like that from Grizzlies.
Yeah. And this, you just take a piece of sandpaper after it's been used and it's not doing its job very much anymore. Take a piece of sandpaper and flatten it off as well as you can. And then we use it like Elmer's glue. Just put Elmer's glue, spread it around there, and then just rubbed it in that little compound that they send you.
Yeah.
And it's ready to go again.
I was gonna say on his belt sander that he uses at home, whenever if I'm sanding my edge and the belt is too full of leather and it's really not sanding anymore, I take the glue eraser and I just shove it up in there, and the glue eraser takes out all of the leather that's in your belt sander, and you can go again. Yeah. Cleans it all up. So that's handy.
You can do the same thing on a grinding stone, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we cut them up here, but like the glue erasers come in this big chunk. Like I think we buy them in like a sheet, and then we cut them into little sections for you guys. So if you ever need like a chunk, you could call us and we'll probably be able to find something laying around.
We'll chunk you up.
We'll chunk you up. Is white the finest that you can go? Oh, is white the fine you... white is the finest that Denny goes. I think that's the question.
That's the finest we carry here, and it's as fine as I ever need. You know, I'm not sure. I think red is a little finer, and someone was saying purple. I don't know. I mean, you can get extravagant with it if you want to. But, but for my purposes, I've never needed anything any finer than the white or the red.
And then Larry says, after doing the stone, do you usually run it across your strop, similar to how you do with the grinder?
Yes, you definitely want to do that. You know, and if, like this, I would take this half round file and go on the inside of it. Yeah. And then do it on the stone. You know, because there's going to be a little, anytime you use a stone, it's going to create a little wire edge. So you need to get rid of that.
as I was working through my skiving knives a few weeks ago at home, Chris was talking about how as you're going across the stone, you want that wire, like as you're looking at it, you want that wire to be formed across the entire thing, because that means that you've gotten to a level place all the way across.
Yes.
So as you're looking at that edge on the inside, whatever method it is that you're using to sharpen your tool, you want to make sure that you have a burr that runs across the whole side. Because if you are missing a burr in a couple little places, that means that you haven't quite got that tip to the same point as everything else in that section. So keep going until you have that wire edge across everything, and then take it off the inside, and then finish up with your polish.
That's right. That's right. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. A lot of times you'll get one side of it that you've sharpened down a little bit, and it's not even with the other side.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to fix that is to flatten off the whole edge.
Oh, and start
and
again.
make a new edge on it.
Yep.
You know, and to do that, I would go right here and just flatten it off.
Okay, to your
like
main
that,
grinder.
and then
Yeah.
then start again like this.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just using a stone, it's pretty hard to fix something like that. You can do it.
Yeah.
But be prepared to spend a little time on it, you know.
It'll be a labor of love.
Yes.
That when you do your leather crafting later, you will appreciate yourself for, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, you know, if you're trying to use dull tools,
you're fighting yourself.
Fighting a losing battle.
That's 100% true.
You can't do a good job with a dull tool.
Yeah. You can't make clean cuts. You're not gonna make. You're gonna jump all over the place. You see this first one over here. His slot jumped on him, and it went over because it's not driving immediately in. It was just sitting on the top.
It's just bouncing.
Yeah. Which is also why a really hard surface is very, very important. Yeah. I can't tell you guys, when we used to work on retail, I'm sure Denny had the same thing, but we would have, I always tell this story. There was this large gentleman that came in. I mean, he was probably like 6'4", like he was tall. He was a stout person. He was a big boy. And he came in and he was trying to set copper rivets. And he just couldn't get them to work. Like, he couldn't get that burr to drive down on the handle, and he was so frustrated. And I was like, what are your working conditions? And he's like, well, I got it on a concrete floor. You know, he's like, I got the ground underneath me. And I was like, it's not good enough. So we just go over to the little thing where we've got our granite slab on our little workstation on retail. And I was just, like 3 taps, and that burr was driven down on a thing. And he's like, what? And I was like, surface matters. Surface matters. Like, I cannot stress that enough, that surface matters. Yeah. You can polish your tools all you want, and then if you still don't have the right surface, they're still not going to go through. But
people say, I do this on the kitchen table.
No.
Yeah, and the salt bounces.
No.
All the grapes fall off.
All the grapes. Everything's moving except for the leather. Surface matters. Hey, brown bird. Well, thank goodness for you. You can watch it when we're done still. Let's see here. Those are the canvas wheels, yes?
Yeah, that's just a cloth wheel.
So this one is a cloth.
Yeah.
This is a paper.
That's a paper wheel.
This is a paper that they put a grit compound on using Elmer's glue. So he just kind of talked about, I guess the paper wheel comes with a grit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
this one did anyway.
All right. So paper wheel. It's from
Razor Sharp.
It's an 8 3/4 slotted wheel from Razor Sharp edge making system. Whatever. It's probably from Grizzly. Anyways, so they put Elmer's glue on it, sprinkle the grit as you turn it, and then once it cures, then you have a nice usable wheel that will make sparks. We make fire.
It'll draw fire.
Draw fire. All right. And then this one is a paper wheel that you just put the green compound on.
Right.
Okay. So
you can put any compound on it you want.
Okay. So same wheel as this one. Yeah. It just has the green polishing compound. And then over here, we have a fiber wheel. This fella is probably a 6-inch wheel, I'm going to say.
Yeah, because it's a 6-inch grinder.
Yeah. So 6-inch wheel. We did take the little guard thingy off of it. So, retrofit yours. How much? Denny cut a trash can in half and put it on both sides so we could catch all the grossness that flies off the back, because that is a thing. Your wall will be very dirty or whatever is behind your grinders will be very dirty. But a half a trash can is perfect. And then there's a 2x4 that it's screwed onto down here. So Jimmy rig yourself.
Yeah.
All right. And then paper wheel with, or fiber wheel with white polishing compound on this one. And then this is if you just really need to go hog wild.
Yeah.
Because that's just a regular grindstone.
Yeah. And you have, this wheel and the grindstone, you have to be very careful because you can overheat the metal. It'll turn it blue in a hurry.
Everybody know that steel is tempered, right? So like they finish making the thing and then it goes through a heat treating process to make sure that all the molecules of the steel are aligned correctly so that when you use it, it doesn't shatter or bend on you. You guys should look up Laren Thomas. He'll teach you some stuff about knives, or really just like about steel that's really useful. So yeah, don't get it. Keep a bucket of water if you're like, I'm gonna be like, this dude needs a little bit of work. Keep a bucket of water every couple passes. Like if you feel it start to heat up, cool it down. Cool it down. Cool it down.
Yeah, these are actually grinder bases, and if you'll notice, they've each got a little reservoir.
Is that for water?
That's for water.
All right.
Yeah.
See, we use it to hold our compound, but
Yeah.
you could put water. Chris has the grossest bucket ever under his grinder, and I just pray that I don't drop my knife sheaths in it when I'm using it. So it's gross. That would be a sad day for me. That would be smart, Justin, but we don't do that. Yeah, Jan Supply is fantastic. If you're near a knife show, they're at almost all of the knife shows, so you could go and buy some of these supplies at Jan's, but they are really good.
Well, before I came here, I never had a paper wheel.
Okay.
I always had cloth wheels.
Yeah.
But they make different stiffnesses of the cloth wheels, and I used to use a real stiff cloth wheel, and I got some. It's like valve grinding compound, only it's coarser than that. It's more related to this stuff, and I would use it on one wheel and then go down to my buffer.
There you go.
But that way you don't have to have a cloth wheel.
That's right.
But you got to have that other stuff.
And I do know, I think somebody had asked before, like, going from this to, like, grinding edges on a sheath and doing different things. You want to have this equipment separate from your leather working equipment. Just because, like, this will get metal dust and the metal things, all of that in your edges, on your, like, this, you need to have two separate working situations.
When I had my own shop, I had what I called it a dirty room.
Yeah. And that's where you do this kind of stuff.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then you can have your leather grinder in there too for like doing your edges and stuff. But you don't want to be doing that on the same wheels that you're grinding metal with.
Yeah.
So the evil sludge bucket. Yeah, there's stuff in there that you don't want to know. I'm sure there is.
It's alive.
It's a special bucket. It's a thick fluid. I don't know what's in there, man.
It's a slurry.
It's a slurry. Absolutely. Let's see here. There you go, Jim. He strops it before and after he uses it, and it stays real sharp. Yeah, treat your tools nice. Make sure you have proper cutting surfaces under them. They will last for a long time. I think that's...
Yeah, really, the only thing that's going to affect an edge like this is if you taper it too far, or if you drop it.
Yep.
Or punch it on something that's
you
harder than it is.
Yeah, the granite is vital, but also dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another reason we don't punch into a piece of poundo board. We use a poly or something like that. Poundo is real easy to punch all the way through.
Yeah, especially if you're hossing.
You know it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to town on whatever it is that you're trying to get through because your stuff isn't sharp enough or because it's really thick, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But
plus the poundo has a little give to it, and you're defeating your purpose of having something solid under it.
Yep. Alrighty, folks. Well, I think that we've covered all the questions. Never turn steel blue. Unless you can heat treat it back to where it needs to be. But seriously, Laren Thomas, for any of you guys that are like really interested in metallurgy and the heat treating process and like how steel molecules form and reform and put themselves together at different temperatures, He's written a couple books. I think he has a podcast. He's super, super informative. I think he's a PhD. He designs steels for the car industry, and his dad is a knife maker who like pioneered stainless steel Damascus. So just really fascinating if you guys are into the whole steel side of things. I highly suggest looking him up. He's a very, very knowledgeable fella.
Cool.
Yeah. His dad came to one of the hammer-ins out in Vegas. And so Devin Thomas is kind of where he started all of it. And then his son just really took off with the family metal interest, I guess. And he's done a lot of experimenting with how metal works and all the different, stages of metal as you're heat treating it. There's a bunch of fun words that all sound like rocks. Like martensite and pearlite and I don't even know. There's a million of them. But the different stages of steel. Let's see here. The use of sandpaper is cheap. Yep. Sandpaper can tear up though, and sometimes it's...
Yeah. You can use sandpaper. You can, but it's not the ideal thing to use.
Diamond stone. Yep.
Diamond stones are okay. There's nothing wrong with them. But you still need to strop afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they will create a wire edge the same as a regular grit stone.
Yeah.
Or sandpaper.
Sell us some of Tony's stuff while he isn't around. Poor Tony's been having it rough. He was not feeling well last week, but he had to go out to somewhere in New Mexico for his softball games, and then he came back still not feeling well, and then all the snow. So he mostly stayed home and worked from home on the website this week. But then he had to fly back out, and I bet he's still not feeling well.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he's struggle bussing. So I'm not gonna sell all of his stuff while he's gone.
It wouldn't bring anything anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry that we missed most of the week, but glad we made it back, and we will be back next week with other things.
Other things.
Other
Yes.
things. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.